Hey guys, it's Kay from Chaos Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/Tales from Retail. Lady gets upset because I didn't tell her how to put her number in. So the title is a bit unrealistic. I did tell her how to put it in, but she ignored me. This lady comes up to my lane. She goes to type in her phone number as alternative ID for the sales. You have to press Alt ID on the screen to type it in, or it beeps at you. So this lady is trying to type in her number, and it beeps at her every time she has to type it in. Ma'am, you need to press Alt ID on the screen. She ignores me, so I try and say it again. Ma'am, you need to press Alt ID. She sticks a finger in my face. Fine, if she wants to be rude. So I just don't say anything, and at the end, after ringing up everything, "Why didn't I get any of the sales?" she complains. "You didn't press Alt ID on the screen, ma'am," I said. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. She just paid and left angrily. "They told you twice." "And you shushed them the second time." People. The bathrooms have to be along the back wall. Happened earlier today. Still pretty miffed about it. I work in the back room/receiving area of a large store whose building is older than I am. Anyway, there is a gate that normally goes across this back area, blocking it off from the rest of the store with a sign on it saying, "Employees only beyond this point." This is a nice thing to have, as it allows me to do my work without being bothered by customers with questions, since I don't know much about our stock other than how much of it we have or when the next shipment is due. But unfortunately, most of my fellow employees don't understand it, and constantly leave it open when they come through, usually to just throw away trash. I am pretty tired of having to shut it at least 5 times an hour, and sometimes just let it stay open. Today, an older gentleman comes into the back while I'm working, and just stands there, huffing to himself. Normally, I try to help out lost customers the best I can, but this guy just marched himself back there into an area that is clearly different from the rest of the store, and stood there, wrists on his hips, and a ticked look in his eyes, so I pretend like I didn't see him and got back to work. Just my luck, he doesn't take the cue and walks right up to me and huffs in the most perturbed voice I have heard from a customer thus far. "Hey, where are your bathrooms?" I already having a bad day as we are slammed with freight and the night crew left half of their work laying about in my area. Look at him and answer, "Other side of the store, sir." "I just came from there," he huffs louder at me, "and they most certainly aren't there." Me, still not caring enough to deal with him. "I'm sorry, sir, but I know they are. They are between electronics and the outside retail doors." He crosses his arms and narrows his eyes at me. "I didn't see them. I went up and down the back wall, and it's not there." I sigh as I realize what's going on. I have to answer the same question daily. The bathrooms aren't along the back wall, it's on the side wall, but still on the other side of the store. He then goes into a mini tirade about how there should have been a sign, "There are 3, and they're bigger than me," and how all bathrooms should be along the back wall. Me, now getting ticked, "Sir, it's not on the back wall and can't be on the back wall." "Why not?" "Because neither I nor you were here when the building plans were being drawn up. Now, if you want the restrooms, they are on the other side of the building." He starts huffing and trying to say something further, but I cut him off. "Sir, if you want, I can show you to the bathroom." He scowls at me, but agrees. I walk him towards the rest of the store and point above the racking at the ceiling on the other end of the building. "Can you see the bathroom sign, sir?" "Yes, finally." He huffs once more. "Good," I say as he gets to the other side of where the gate goes, and I slam it close. "You can handle the rest from here." I can't say what his face was like after that as I turned on my heels and returned to work, but I do know that he stood there for a hot second before stomping off towards the bathrooms. "Sir, they can't be on the back wall." "Why not?" "Because they're not. Like, what do you want? What do you want?" Oh my god. Elephant. In my previous job, when a customer would buy a Roomba, I would jokingly refer to it as an adoption, and ask things like what they plan to name it, while waiting for someone to get one down from top stock. One day, I make such a call, and Sarge responds. Sarge, as you probably guessed, was military. Anytime he could work that into a conversation, he would. He also had some ridiculous beliefs, like all men are military members, because if the US activates the draft again, we'd all be in. And we'd be his subordinates because he was there first. I need a Roomba E5, I say over the radio.
What?
Roomba E5.
What?
Roomba E5. Elephant 5.
Wait a sec.
Sarge comes up and looks at the product card the customer brought up.
Echo. When you use a radio, E is echo.
Sarge walks off to get the Roomba.
What the F rhymes with elephant?
The customer snickers. We both knew Sarge was just pushing my buttons. He better be careful. That ladder is about to hit that cord hanging from the ceiling, said the customer. No, we aren't that lucky, I responded. We laughed and start wasting time waiting for the Roomba. It eventually arrives and Sarge walks away. So, what are you planning on naming this? The customer pauses for a second, a smile forms, and he gives his answer. Echo. That must be fun to do, to work with Sarge. Tiny Thieves. After reading a very recent post about a kid stealing some white chocolate Kit Kats and eating them in the bathroom, it reminded me of the one time kids tried to steal from my job but got caught. Years later, the story is still very strong in my memory and thought it would be time to write it out. Don't remember many of the words used, but I do remember the sequence things went in and what the conversations entailed. About 2 to 3 years ago one evening, it was somewhat close to closing time. I was doing the closing duties, which involved a lot of cleaning, and just so happened to be cleaning the bathrooms at the time. Normally, I keep the cleaning cart outside the door, blocking it because it's a little too big to bring in. Every now and then, I would need to open the door to the hallway to get a different cleaner. 2 little girls, sisters, stood in the hallway. The younger, I'd say about 5 or 6, and the older, maybe 8 or 9, were waiting by my cart. I politely told them and apologized that the bathrooms were currently closed but should be open again in a few minutes. I had just sprayed cleaner on everything. They scurried away and I went back inside and quickly finished. When I came out, they at first weren't there. It wasn't until I pushed the cart over to the men's restroom and cleaned a little in there before coming out to swap cleaners that I caught the back of the older sister running into the bathroom. A few minutes pass again, finished with the men's restroom, and pushed the cart to the back to tidy up and throw out the trash bags. My manager had come in and asked me if I had cleaned the restrooms yet, and when I replied yes, she made the follow me hand motion and we went towards the front of the store. On the way up, she faced me and was walking backwards as she explained quietly that she found boxes of empty toys in one of the tiny trash cans located within the stall and asked if I had changed them out. I told her I did, but did see the 2 little girls go in and describe what they look like. Upon getting to the front of the store, I was told to monitor the little girls through the mirror on the back wall, who were still in the toy aisle, while the manager told the cashier up front about the situation and to notify her when their guardian came up. Didn't have to wait long because only a few seconds later, their grandmother came up with some medication, followed by the 2 little girls who were empty-handed. Once she was checking out, my manager came up and asked if the grandmother would like to add the toys to the transaction. Of course, the grandmother had no idea what she was talking about, so the manager removed box after box from the bag and placed them on the counter. The 2 little girls were trying so hard to act like they've never seen those before. The grandma stared at the boxes, looked at the kids, and started yelling. They both start tearing up and remove the toys from their pockets. Whatever is in those little blind box num-noms, I assume chapstick at the time, just kept unloading them onto the counter. The grandmother was so mad, yelling that this wasn't how their family has raised them, said she would be back to purchase, and stormed out with the kids. She then came back in after a minute, paid for everything including the toys, but said we could keep them in the store because she was not going to be rewarding their behavior, profusely apologized, and left. I was talking with the cashier, telling her about everything leading up to this. All she was told was to look out for the family with 2 little girls because of a theft. Next thing we know, we hear crying, and it's getting louder. The grandmother walks in, practically dragging the younger one, who is just nothing but tears and a red face. They come back up with a Num-Noms toy, and it's not broken into. She pays for the toy, hands it to the little girl, and leaves with the child, all without a word. When I asked my manager later that night how exactly she had found the empty packages, she said that she noticed the little girls run out from the bathroom's hallway and had a small feeling to go check. Noticed I wasn't in the hallway anymore and went into the bathroom. The stall trash can was not only stuffed with them, but overflowing too. We're talking maybe 12 to 16 boxes, and they're pretty decently sized. Yikes. I don't understand what happened with the second reappearance. I guess she had smuggled another one. I don't know. And I guess at that point, I just don't understand why she let her keep it. But obviously, there's probably plenty of conversation that we were not privy to. And maybe she didn't understand, if she was the younger one, quite what was going on. I'm just concerned about how these little kids know to do that. Like, surely someone had to tell them, like, like, you can throw away the box and, like, nobody, like, you won't get in trouble or they won't catch you or something. Like, that's really weird that they were doing that. It's kind of concerning. Hello, I thought I'd share a tale from my first ever job. I'm on mobile and English is my first and only, language. The title is pretty much it, to be honest. I used to work at a now shut home-based store in the UK. I worked up from a checkout chick to staffing the customer service desk. I started at 16 years and quickly rose up. The day before this happened, we had been informed that one of the warehouses that made and shipped new kitchens had been set on fire by accident by a group of kids messing around in it after finding a broken door that didn't lock properly. Unfortunately, the fire killed 2 of the kids and seriously injured the rest of the kids. Starting a fire in a wood and chemical-filled warehouse was a terrible idea, but they were kids and didn't deserve that end and nightmares. An email had gone out to people who had ordered a kitchen from us explaining that there was going to be a delay and that they can wait or get a full refund and a 20% voucher. I had been inundated with calls and people coming in asking for refunds and such in various degrees of anger, but one stood out. I had just swapped a screwdriver for someone who had gotten the wrong one. The old one was still on the desk when our protagonist turns up. Cast me as me and C as customer. Hello, how can I... What has happened to my effing kitchen? Sir, I'm afraid that a fire in the warehouse has caused us to lose the entire stock of kitchens, and I don't effing care what happened to your effing warehouse. I want my kitchen. I've been waiting for weeks. Please don't swear at me, sir. I will do what I like. I want my kitchen now. Unfortunately, sir, due to the fire, the kitchens will not be... This man just could not let me finish a sentence, it seemed. You don't listen, do you? I want my kitchen. Sir. At this point, the customer hit his limit of sanity. He grabbed the screwdriver and started waving it at me. Luckily, the desk was quite high, at about his chest height, and big enough to have 4 people work in the box without too much difficulty, so I was able to back away from the madman. He was shouting at me at this point, but I cannot tell you what he was shouting as I was just watching the screwdriver trying to not get stabbed. What our irate customer didn't know was that this store had a security guard, Steve, who was short, muscular, permanently angry, and was a good friend of mine from all the time he spent leaning on the desk pretending to work. Steve had been watching from the other end of the line of checkouts where he was stood next to the exit to the shop. At seeing the guy pick up the screwdriver, Steve started sprinting toward us and fully flying rugby tackled the customer around the middle and to the ground, slamming his head into the concrete floor. The customer dropped the weapon and Steve dragged him out of the shop and sat on him till the police arrived. It was when the police watched the cameras that I could see the flying tackle in all its glory. Steve was very proud of that takedown. I think the customer did get his refund, but I don't think he got the 20% discount vouchers that others were offered. Fully flying rugby tackle. Well, I'm glad he was there, because that is scary that someone thinks it's appropriate to basically threaten someone over that. That's not okay. That's just not okay. So I'm glad that Steve was there, and now he has an excellent story to tell, and he was well within his rights to do so. And he has it on tape. That's fantastic. World's worst shoplifter. So, I don't normally post about my job on here, but this story is too good to pass up. I work loss prevention for a major retail store. Today, a person who is trespassed came in and stole a couple of items. When I went to confront the person, they, of course, ran from me. While on the phone with the local PD, the shoplifter is fumbling through their car. I tell everyone to go inside, just in case things turn violent, and keep PD updated on what's happening. The shoplifter comes back from their car, walks back up to me, and says verbatim, "Please do not call the cops. I left my keys in the store, and I can't run away." TLDR, don't decide to shoplift and run when you lose your keys in the store. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, don't call. I can't run. Wow, that's amazing. Anyway, that is going to wrap up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Really quickly, I would like to thank my patrons. Up on the screen, you should see my face palmers and my crazy case. Thank you all so much for supporting me in that way. If you want to become a patron, check out the original posts from today's video, or send me an email for possible inclusion in a future video. All of that information is in the description box, so be sure to check it out. And I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!